25. In most contexts, it's just a number. But in the high-stakes world of professional sports, when a number like that is hanging over a star player, it's almost always a sign of big trouble. So what's the story here? Let's get into it. That's right. 25 is the number of games Philadelphia 76ers star forward Paul George has been suspended for. And for a team with serious championship hopes, this is just a massive blow. But the story behind the suspension, well, it's a lot more complex than you might think. So, the official word from the league came down on January 31st, and it was pretty blunt, a 25-game suspension without pay for violating the NBA's anti-drug policy. That's the headline. That's the official line. But you know how it is. The headline almost never tells the whole story. The question on everyone's mind was, okay, but what really happened here? And to his credit, Paul George didn't stay silent for long. He actually came out with a statement that provided some really important context. He said, and I'm quoting him directly here, "Over the past few years, I've discussed the importance of mental health, and in the course of recently seeking treatment for an issue of my own, I made the mistake of taking an improper medication. I take full responsibility for my actions." So let's talk about the timing of all this, because this is crucial. His suspension kicked in immediately on January 31st. He won't be eligible to come back until March 25th. And when he does finally get back on the court, there will be only 10 games left in the regular season. That is a razor-thin window to get back into playoff form. And beyond the court, the impact is, well, it's staggering, especially when you start to follow the money. So let's take a look at the financial fallout, both for Paul George himself and for the 76ers organization. First, let's just look at the personal cost to Paul George. He is set to forfeit about $11.7 million of his salary this season. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a massive financial hit. I don't care who you are. And if we break that down even further, it gets kind of nuts. We're talking about nearly $470,000 for each and every one of the 25 games he's sitting out. It's almost an unimaginable amount of money to lose per game. Okay, now this is where the story gets really interesting. Because when we shift focus to the team's finances, it's not the straightforward negative you might expect. I mean, losing a star player should hurt the bottom line, right? Well, it's not quite that simple. See, because George is suspended without pay, the 76ers will actually save more than $5 million in luxury tax payments. Now, the luxury tax, that's basically a penalty the league charges teams for having these huge payrolls. So in a really strange twist, this suspension actually helps the front office manage its budget. And this isn't happening in a vacuum, you know? Just recently, star center Joel Embiid kind of made some waves commenting on the team's spending. He said, "Obviously, we've been ducking the tax the last couple of years, so hopefully we keep the same team. I think we got a shot." So you have this internal pressure building at the exact same time. Okay, so we've looked at the money. Now let's turn to what really matters to the fans, the on-court impact. How does losing Paul George actually affect Philadelphia's chances of winning it all? The numbers? Well, they don't lie. With Paul George in the lineup, the 76ers are a respectable 16-11. But without him, they're a perfectly average, a perfectly mediocre 10-10. He is literally the difference between being a legitimate contender and just being another team in the pack. But it goes so much deeper than just one player's stats. The entire Sixers game plan was built around their big three, George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. And get this, that trio has only shared the court for 365 minutes all season long. But in that tiny sample size, they have been absolutely dominant, outscoring opponents by over 7 points per 100 possessions. This suspension fractures the very core of their team's identity. So look, this isn't just about the 25 games he's missing now. It's about a championship-caliber core losing 2 crucial months to build chemistry right before the playoffs begin. When he returns on March 25th, that clock is going to be ticking, and it's going to be ticking loudly. Which brings us right back to the ultimate question. This whole thing, it's a story about mental health, it's about millions and millions of dollars, and it's about a team's entire identity being thrown into chaos. With their big three fractured and the clock just running out, can the 76ers championship dream really survive this?